Well, everybody knows that the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson is the best fantasy series ever written.
Clearly.
What you may not know is which of the Stormlight Archive books are better than the rest. Which of those 4 that have been written so far, of the potential 5, that's coming out in 2024, November. Don't miss it. Probably December, actually.
But right now, there's only 4. So
right now, there's 4, and we're going to rank those. And we actually sent out a poll last week. So if you're subscribed to the channel and you contributed to that poll, thank you so much. And we're going to reveal the results today and talk through why we think they need some work. So let's dive right into it. The number 4 ranked book, you can probably guess, in the Stormlight Archive is Rhythm of War.
I would have guessed this?
Book 4. I think we've talked about it before. The reason that I think most people vote that one least is because nobody has read it.
Oh, okay.
I honestly think people get stuck in the series and they don't actually finish it. So the last one specifically gets the lowest rating. So number 4 ranked in the Stormlight Archive
What book
series.
are they getting stuck in?
It could be any of the 3, but I'm saying less people get to book 4.
Okay.
Less people get to book 4.
Fine. I don't think that's a good answer for.
Why not?
It's definitely not my least favorite of the 4.
That's fair.
I want to wait on giving my review. Let's go to the next couple, and then I'll let you know on.
Well, we'll continue
revealing
revealing the 3rd ranked book in the Stormlight Archive, based on the poll from our subscribers, which is a couple hundred people that have gone through and actually actively voted and commented, is Oathbringer.
Yep, could have seen that one coming.
Book 3. That one really bothers me.
It does.
I'm not happy about that at all.
It probably should have been number 4, huh?
You know that I like Oathbringer.
I that one honestly is my number 4.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
It's your all-time favorites?
Of this series?
Is that your number 1?
It's not my number 1.
Wow. Okay, we'll wait a minute to get there.
We'll do our... How about this? We'll go through the rest of the poll, and then we'll talk about our rankings. Okay, so now we have Rhythm of War is ranked number 4. Number 3 is Oathbringer. Number 2... Or should I do number 1? Is that how they do it? Once we're down to the final 2?
Do number 2. No.
Okay, number 2 is Way of Kings.
Okay, that one makes sense to me.
The first book. And which means number 1, Words of Radiance, is the number 1 best book in the best series of all time.
Therefore,
there you go.
Best book of all time.
That's how math works. That's just how it works.
We mathed it.
I can't stop that.
Okay, well, tell me, what were the percentage votes for each one of these?
Well, I'm going to have to pull out the iPad for that because I don't have those memorized.
Yeah.
Words of Radiance had 40% of the vote.
40? Almost half.
Almost half.
What was number 2?
Number 2 was Way of Kings, and that had 30% of the vote.
10%.
So between those two, 70%, which is why I think most people are falling off along the way and not finishing the book.
You can't fall off after Words of Radiance, though, dude. That's such a phenomenal book.
You can after Words of Radiance.
Yes, in Oathbringer.
Oathbringer had 18%.
Yep.
And Rhythm of War had 12%.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
That's pretty brutal.
Okay.
So the two combined, 3rd and 4th, had the exact same rank as number 2.
Oh, yeah, so it's added up to 30%.
18 plus 12 is the same as 30.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm all over the math.
Okay,
today.
well, let me tell you this. Oathbringer is number 4.
Oathbringer is number 4 for you.
Yeah,
for you personally.
For everyone,
This
Jaden.
is cold, hard statistical fact. You can't mess with this.
It's just so, like, I mean, you love the political side of it and everything. First, I don't know if I had gotten stuck, almost like you were saying. I went through book 1 of Way of Kings. It did take me a little bit to get into it, but then by the end of it, I was like, this is incredible. Book 2 was basically just all Sanderlanche from book 1.
Yep.
And that's why it was phenomenal. That is why it is book number 1. It is the best.
I think book 2 is incredible as well, but it's second for me.
Interesting.
I waffle back and forth, and I like your arguments. You're kind of convincing me.
Yeah.
The Sanderlanche is pretty unbeatable.
Yeah.
Obviously. So it may be number 1 for me as well. But then number 2 for me would have to be Oathbringer over the first book.
No way, dude. No way.
I
can't believe that. It beats the first book.
I haven't read a lot of books in my day. Right? Not a ton of fantasy books. Probably.
You just learned how to read.
Yes. Great. This is where I wanted to announce that. I've read probably a few dozen fantasy books.
Actually, just listen to the audio. It doesn't know how to read. Just
you don't need to these days.
No.
But I think it has to be 1 or 2 because it was just so cool.
You're really going to put...
If I had to bump it to 3,
yeah.
if I had to, mind you, then I would probably...
The first book to number 3.
If I had to push the third book to number 3, if I had to, then I would probably put Way of Kings still second place.
So Words of Radiance is the number 1 book out of these.
I agree.
I think so.
I think it is.
I've convinced you.
I'm convinced. I can be convinced.
And the subscribers as well.
I love the fact that we have statistical significance telling us that this is just how it is. It's how the world works.
Well, let me tell you why Oathbringer is number 4. I got into that a little bit. So
no, it's not number 4, but you can tell why you think it's number 4.
It's definitely number 4 because the first book, like I said, is really good. Then you get into Sanderlanche of number 2, and then you're just like so hyped up on all of this that you jump into number 3 really fast, and number 3 is way the heck slower with all of the political stuff and everything. And for some reason, I started zoning out a whole ton when we got to political talks. I'm honestly excited when we get back to our reread to go through Oathbringer again, because they're actually, I have heard this, a lot of people love Oathbringer. They say,
like me.
I know, like you, I don't know why, but I thought it was fine. My number 3...
maybe it's because you're comparing it to number 2, because you just finished number 2.
I know, dude.
Which
That's
is
what I'm
just
saying.
Action-packed. And then you get into number 3, and you're like, okay, now we're laying groundwork again.
Yeah, you could be right. The number 3 book for me is The Rhythm of War, though. I loved that book.
It was really good.
For some reason, the internet hated that book. I don't know why.
The internet in this poll hated it too.
I don't know why. I thought it was a great book. I think, though, the people who loved Oathbringer, for some reason, didn't like Words of Radiance as much. But the people who loved Words of Radiance didn't like Oathbringer as much, which is what the consensus that I got.
Which is what we can see right here, too.
Yeah. In fact, I have another stat for you here.
Oh.
Yep. I will give you the Goodreads rankings.
Okay, that is exactly what I need to know.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not going to be as statistically significant as our subscribers here, because they're just better.
Does not matter.
Okay.
Yeah, because those guys are way better. Our subscribers are way better.
Subscriber people are probably the coolest people in fantasy, I think.
Probably. We love our subscribers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me what the plain old Goodreads people said.
I will tell you. So, based on the ratings on Goodreads, average ratings. Okay. The number 3 and 4 books are tied. Ooh. They are exactly the same.
That's because Goodreads has the worst star system ever.
It is also true.
But we'll work with that. Yeah. What do they give it?
Why can't you give like a 0.5 rating? The worst.
Why can't it just be out of 10?
Or that's an easier solution.
Absolute amateurs.
Oathbringer was a 4.62.
That's still pretty good.
And Rhythm of War was also a 4.62.
Which is very similar to our little...
I know, here. Except our readers gave the edge to Oathbringer, which I
think they...
respectfully disagree.
I think they did a great job of giving the edge to that. Okay, what was number 2?
Number 2 was The Way of Kings.
So it's almost exactly the same. The world has spoken.
Yes, which is a 4.66. Only 0.04.
Wow.
Better. Wait, yep.
That's very interesting. Okay, and that means number 1 has to be?
The Words of Radiance.
Well, what's its rating?
4.76. 1/10.
A whole 10th.
Yeah.
1/10 of 1 star.
And I have heard, you'd have to check me on this, this is the highest rated book on Goodreads with more than 100,000 views.
Wow.
Or maybe it's more than 10,000 views. Reviews.
If there's anything that we can do on a YouTube video is spit statistics, even if we haven't validated them. So we're going to say that is the highest rated
review book ever. Ever. Everybody loves it. Nobody dislikes that book.
In all seriousness, this is a absolutely phenomenal series, the Stormlight Archive, as many fantasy series are. But I should say that it's interesting to see how people read through books and what they think as they go. So because our subscribers are the absolute best, all of you, I want to see if you have any additional commentary on the results of this poll and if you would change anything. It sounds like we're almost settling into this is how the rankings should be. And that doesn't necessarily mean these books aren't fantastic. It just might mean that some are more fantastic than others for specific reasons. So
yeah, Words of Radiant or Rhythm of War is still number 3. It beats Oathbringer. I'm not.
See, that's
not giving.
You're gonna have to make sure people comment that because I just don't believe you.
You just can't beat the finale of that book. Is one of the most Sanderlanche mind-blowing finales I've ever read.
It's not even the end of the series.
I know. Can you imagine what's coming next in book 5? If that isn't the number 1 book out of the Stormlight Archive books after all this is said and done, well, after the first 5 set and done.
I don't know if the Cosmere will ever be said and done, but we will definitely do a follow-up once Knights of Wind
and Truth.
And Truth. Ooh. Once that's out, we will have to update this. But for now, the rankings are set in stone, barring potentially any fantastic comments that change our minds.
Yep, Rhythm of War number 3.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you had a good time, and let us know what you think in the comments. But other than that, we'll see you in the next one.